17 drones. 3 minutes. A $500 million air defense crown, gone. You clicked for the S-400 takedown, you're in the right place. We're breaking down the exact stack that made it possible: low, lower, lowest altitude lanes, GPS plus inertial plus a downward camera keeping sub-meter accuracy under jamming, and timing so tight the Panzer's tracks choked. Stay for the moment the gravestone radars go dark, the waveguide collapses, and why cost, coordination, and terrain masking now beat big-budget defense. If your job is to stop swarms, what's your fix when the sky comes at 3 heights at once? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You expect a fortress.
Ukrainian Defense Forces is the surprisingly lethal impact its use of relatively cheap drones has had on Russian forces.
Unlike the Javelins, which you have to get pretty close to a tank with a Javelin, you can launch these kamikaze drones from up to 8 miles away.
You get a blind spot at 3 heights. The sight was built like a nervous system with a single brain. At the center sat the search and fire control radars, Big Bird to sweep, Gravestone to track and guide, ringed by vertical launchers and a Panzer S-1 acting as the close-in goalkeeper. On paper, nothing gets through. In practice, one blind moment and the whole stack slumps. Centralized power cuts both ways. Kill the eyes and the hands can't move.
Why aren't we rushing more of these kinds of weapons? There's another type of drone called the kamikaze drone, Mika, which is actually like a flying bomb. It's a guided missile.
Seemingly with devastatingly accurate missile fire. So why are Ukraine's cheap, slow drones so successful against Russian targets?
The question is whether low-cost drones can scramble a system built to swat fast jets and cruise missiles. They can, if you force it to fight the wrong problem at the wrong angles. 17 airframes went in. 7 heavy Beaver types to carry the punch. 10 lighter sides to flood the picture. Each road layered NAV, commercial GPS for course aim, inertial to bridge the gaps, and a downward optical guide to keep the line tight under noise. Sub-meter tracks, even when the ether turns hostile. They flew 3 corridors. Low, lower, lowest, about 260 feet, 160, and 100.
That was a work of a Turkish-made TB2 drone. The unmanned drone can hover over tanks and destroy them.
We don't know the answer to that for sure, but a U.S. defense official briefed reporters yesterday and said they had used these weapons the Ukrainians had to great effect against the Russians. Appears to have sold them some more systems at the beginning, according to the Ukrainian defense minister. But some people are wondering...
That keeps radar returns buried in ground clutter and splits the Panzer's fire control into 3 partial fights. Different lead math. Different look angles. More chances to waste a missile on a bad track. Electronic warfare added grit to the gears. Jamming and spoofing fogged the scope and pushed targeting computers toward stalls and heat. Q saturation forces operators to commit early, often to the wrong blip. Meanwhile, the swarm's timing compresses the kill chain. Arrivals stack within seconds. Some Beavers dive at radar faces. Some skim and flare.
We knew the Ukrainians had about 20 of these small drones before this conflict, and when I would ask military experts about their impact, a defense official said yesterday they're working to do that, didn't offer any specifics. Turkey, which is trying to remain neutral in this conflict, they fire Hellfire missiles. Those are $30 million apiece. These drones cost about $1 to $2 million. They fire small missiles.
Others hold to keep the screen busy. The fire control loop can't recycle fast enough. The warhead choice matches the target. Shaped charges cut into radar faces and waveguides. Break the waveguide, and the radar's power path collapses. The network goes blind. Launchers become idle boxes. For roughly $425,000 in drones, sensors and a Panzer battery were neutralized in minutes. The node ceased to function as a hub. If a swarm can blind the shield, the next question is how those tracks stayed true under jamming and hit together. If jamming scrambles GPS, why didn't the swarm drift? The answer sits under the airframes. Not in the sky. Each drone flew with 3 brains. Commercial GPS set the broad line. An inertial unit kept motion honest when the signal went dirty, tracking tiny shifts through accelerometers and gyros. A downward camera did the final work, matching live ground frames to stored maps, roads, field lines, river bends, to keep submeter paths under noise. Redundancy beats interference. But EW tilts satellites. INS drifts with time. Optics can fail in smoke, low light, or glare. So how did all three lanes arrive together and on target? By splitting the problem and starving the defender of clean shots. They carved three height bands, about 260 feet, 160, and 100. That forces a single Panzer into three fights at once. Different clutter, different lead math, different look angles. Radar has to dig targets out of ground junk while the fire control loop chases bad geometry. One defender becomes three half-blind ones. Timing finished the choke. The arrivals came as microwaves. Skimmers soaked ready to fire missiles first. Decoys pulled radar gates wide. The heavy dives came last, aimed at radar faces and waveguide runs. When the tubes sat empty, the real hits started. Optical NAV held up under pressure. Downward cameras locked to hard contrast, road edges, hedgerows, shorelines. Even with GPS noise, the feed corrected the final seconds. You get the course from space, the continuity from motion, the aim from what the lens sees. Meanwhile, the system overheated, literally and logically. Rapid updates across three heights jammed the compute loop. Track files jumped. Short-range guns and missiles lost clean windows. The kill chain lagged by seconds that mattered. Targets were fixed and fragile. Shaped charges punched the gravestone faces and bit into waveguides. Collapse the path, the transmitter dies, and the air picture goes black. Launchers stand alone. Panzer hit. Gravestones dark. Launchers isolated. 3 lanes and redundant NAV turned a prestige site into scrap in under 3 minutes. The lesson scales past this field: cost, coordination, and redundancy outpace static pride. So what does a real fix look like? When sensors sit in one basket and swarms fly in sync, price beats prestige. Kill the eyes and the shield is just steel. That's the doctrine rewrite. A case study, yes, but also a warning flare to anyone buying shiny hardware without a distributed brain. What's the fix? Distributed passive sensors, mobile decoys, or directed energy layers? Comment your choice below and subscribe if you want the tactical mindset that wins these battles. We're testing this playbook at See Next, how a fleet screen holds up under heavy EW and layered swarms. Subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict.